That race at Martinsville that I just finished watching was absolutely fantastic. A lot of short track beating and banging out there. Some pretty decent wrecks that took place in this race. And also some really awesome battles that took place out on the racetrack. But at the end of the day, a usual winner scores the victory lane here at Martinsville International Speedway. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to another video. I just got done watching the NASCAR Cup Series race at Martinsville International Speedway. We're going to go ahead and talk about that today. So before the race even began, Daniel Suarez's crew chief, Travis Mack, was ejected from the track for having a ballast issue. I think they had too much ballast in the rear of the car, if I'm not mistaken, and that team would be docked 10 points and would have to start at the rear. A bunch of other drivers would also have started at the rear, including Tyler Reddick, who would drop to the rear of the field as well in this race. And like I said, NASCAR would, like the Xfinity Series race, would have rain issues, but they also tried to get the race started, and they actually would complete the early portions of this race up to this point. We would start the race off with Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano starting the front row, and Joey Logano would lead the early portion of this race. Then Denny Hamlin was able to make the pass about 5 laps into the race, and he would lead the next portion of the race. And then the first caution in this race would actually come out for the the first caution in this race would come out for an incident between James Davison and I think it was Cody Ware. Yeah, Cody Ware, as a matter of fact, was kind of a hassle most of this race. Cody Ware got into the 15 car of James Davison. He was spinning out of the outside while James Davison was not very happy on the radio. That'd be the first incident that Cody Ware would be involved in this race, and that would be like a Vickers situation as well. We would then go back racing. Well, we actually would bring out the third. That would actually be also the final caution of the race as well, because rain would come, and then this race would end up getting pushed to Sunday, and where we would be racing today. We then go back racing in lap 47 of this event, and in the first caution of the day on Sunday came out for an incident between the 43 and the 1. Kurt Busch had a little bit of contact with Erik Jones going into turn number 4. Kurt Busch to spin. Luckily, no one really got damaged up to this point, and that would bring out the final caution of stage. We then go back racing for quite some time at stage 1, and then we would go straight to the end of the line. Ryan Blaney would actually make the pass on Denny Hamlin. He was able to pass and dominate the end of stage. Ryan Blaney was able to win stage 1 of this race, with Denny Hamlin finishing second. We would then go back racing for quite a couple laps in this race, actually pretty much most of the second stage in this race. And in the next caution of this race, once again, would come out for Cody Ware. Cody Ware basically once again had another issue. I think he had a little wheel hop or something broke on the car. That would bring out the third incident caution for incident and the fourth caution of the race. We would then go back racing on lap 248, which were around halfway up this point, and in a few laps later, there was an incident between Ryan Newman, Eric Almirola, and Matt DiBenedetto. Eric Almirola and Ryan Newman had a little bit of contact. Newman got a little bit of sideways, and Matt DiBenedetto would run into the back of him. That would bring out the caution of this race. And then we go back racing for a few more laps, and in the end of second stage would end up taking place with Ryan Blaney being the leader and winning stage 2 and sweeping both of the early stages in this race. We would then go back racing on lap 270 of this race, around 230 laps ago, and the first caution of stage 3 would come out for Justin Haley. He would have a flat tire, and that would bring the caution out. We then go back racing for another 7 laps, and once again, Cody Ware, for the third time in this race, would end up bringing the caution last, spinning off of turn number 2. I don't know if he had a flat tire or something, but he once again spun, bringing out his third caution race, and I think the 8th or 9th caution up to the point in this race. We then go back racing for about another 25 laps this run, basically with actually a new contender leading up to this point, a new contender leading, with Bubba Wallace actually, after Joey Logano had to lead for a little bit, Bubba Wallace actually would be able to take the race lead, and he would dominate the next portion, and the next caution come out after there was some really good battling between Bubba Wallace and William Byron, was able to get by Bubba, and then the caution would come out for Kyle Busch, who spun off turn 2. It seemed like he had something that might have broke on the car, that's what he said, and basically felt like a pogo stick, that's what he said, and that would bring out the next caution of this race. Then we go back racing for a few more laps, and then the 38 Anthony Alfredo would spin off a turn 2. Justin Haley had a really, really nice save, and that would be the next caution of that race. We then go back racing for another 5 laps, and then Daniel Suarez and Brad Keselowski would have an incident coming off of turn number 2. Brad Keselowski would spin out. He got a little bit of sideways. Unfortunately, he would go a lap down. He would bring out the next caution of this race. We then go back racing on lap 348 with 153 laps to go, and then once again, another caution would come out with around 150 laps to go for Ryan Newman spinning off of turn 2. And then we go back racing once again with 145 laps to go with Denny Hamlin basically leading up to this point. And we managed to go green for a little bit of time in this race. And with around 129 laps to go, there would be an incident between Brad Keselowski, Ross Chastain, and Erik Jones, bringing out the caution with 129 laps to go. We then go back racing for another couple laps. And then with 114 laps to go, the big one was strike. Tempers flared between, it looked like Chris Buescher and Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch got into Chris Buescher, and Chris Buescher got a little bit frustrated, and it would stack up the field, and the big one was strike at Martinsville International Speedway with drivers like Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Chris Buescher, 21 Matt DiBenedetto, Ryan Preece, 38 Anthony Alfredo, Eric Jones would be involved, Alex Bowman, the 51 to Cody Ward, the 77 also would be involved, of the Justin Haley and also James Davis in the 15, and then Daniel Suarez would also be involved. 5 of those cars would be out, those being 2 of them caught on fire with Ryan Preece, and Daniel Suarez would catch on fire. And then tempers flared between Daniel Suarez as he threw back a water bottle at William Byron. He was not very happy with William Byron when that incident basically ended up taking place, which was really, really unfortunate to see, because Daniel Suarez is coming back after being a couple laps down. He had speeding penalties going on throughout the race, had a tire, basically a loose wheel at this point, and his race was not going very well. That would unfortunately take him out of contention. We would then go back racing with around 104 laps to go, and then the race actually played out for quite some time, with a really solid battle between Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney taking place. Those two put on a really good show for the race lead, and it looked like those two were actually going to be leaders, with Mark Truex Jr. basically lurking right behind him. And then the final caution in the race would come out with around 48 laps to go in this race, with Chase Briscoe spinning off turn up 3, bringing out the 15th caution of this race. It was basically, it looked like he had a flat tire coming into turn number 3. He would spin out, bringing out the final caution of this race. And on the final pit stop of the race, with around 43 laps to go, Ryan Blaney, who had been the dominant car pretty much most day, and was trying to charge his way back up to the front after the field basically cycled out for different type of pit stops, basically Ryan Blaney would take equipment outside of the pit box, which would take him to the rear of the field, which is really unfortunate because he had the best car pretty much all day. After dominating once again at Martinsville International Speedway, his chances to win were over, and he would have to basically hope that he can get a decent finish out of the day. But unfortunately, his chances to win at Martinsville were over. And then the final 42 laps of this race would take place with a really awesome battle between Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. taking place. Hamlin actually would get the best of Martin Truex Jr. early in the run, and they were beating back and forth, side by side. Again, there was some contact. Truex keeping it pretty decently clean, but there was contact between Martin Truex Jr. and Denny Hamlin, and really, really solid racing going on overall. With around 16 laps to go, Martin Truex Jr. pushed Hamlin up the track a little bit, got him wide, and then he was able to pass him and take the race lead. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott, who was actually catching these two with both of these guys, basically going side by side up to this point. They were racing, by the way, they were racing really, really excellent, and it was an awesome race overall for the victory in that point. And then it looked like Chase Elliott was getting around Denny Hamlin. He was able to pass around 4 or 5 laps ago, but it was too late. Chase was starting to catch Martin Truex Jr., but unfortunately, it was too late. Coming off the final corner, Martin Truex Jr., who really only led a few laps, is able to make the pass. And like I said, coming off the final corner, Martin Truex Jr. becomes the first repeat winner of 2021 and wins here at Martinsville International Speedway. I'm going to be honest with you, did Martin Truex Jr. have the best car all day? No, but he's right there most day, ran in the top 5 all day, and after Ryan Blaney's incident, his car was the best overall behind Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin had the best short run car in this race, but as the run went on, it was starting to come back to him, to Martin Truex Jr., and guys like Ryan Blaney. I think Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. had the best short-run cars of the day, but when Ryan Blaney's incident happened, that took him out of contention, and Martin Truex Jr. basically took the kill. So Martin Truex Jr., like I said, becomes the first repeat winner of 2021. Took 8 races to do, but he was my pick to win this weekend. I thought he was going to have the dominant car today. Didn't really have the dominant car, but they made the right adjustments at the end of the day. Had a really good pit stop on that final stop, and he was able to come across the line and win the race today. So huge congratulations to Martin Truex Jr. on winning this race. And I think that he's pretty much put himself potentially as one of the early championship contenders with being the first driver to win 2 races, and he's definitely for sure locked into the playoffs now. So anyway, let's go ahead and go through the race results of today's race at Martinsville International Speedway. So like I said, Martin Truex Jr. won today's race. Chase Elliott with a really, really strong run in second. He ran top 5 a lot of day. I thought his car was going to be a little bit better, to be honest with you. But he gets second place finish. Great run for Chase Elliott. Denny Hamlin finishes third. Denny Hamlin had the dominant car for a lot of this race, but unfortunately the car kind of fell back, and on the long run especially, and he finishes third, though. He ran top 2 or top 3 pretty much all day long, but at the end of the day, he was not able to win, but finishes third, continues the consistent streak that he's had all year. I think this is the 6 or 7 top 5 he's had this year, so Denny Hamlin has been super consistent. That win for Denny Hamlin is definitely coming. William Byron finishes 4th. He led laps today and finished 4th. Great run for William Byron today. Another great run. I think this is his 6th top 10 of the year, so he's definitely here to play for sure. Kyle Larson finished 5th. I want to talk about Kyle Larson for a second. This is his worst track that he's run at. His average finish this track is 22nd coming into this race. He ran top 10 all day. He fell outside of top 10 at certain points, but bounced back to a top 5 run. Absolutely fantastic run for Kyle Larson today. And I think that a lot of you are writing him off for this race in Martinsville next time. If they bring the same stuff, I don't think he's going to win, but I think that he will basically have a good shot. If he's able to be in the playoffs, that could be really good for him coming back. Joey Logano finished 6th. A nice bounce back, all honesty, for Joey Logano. Joey Logano was almost on the verge of going lap down after his car came loose, but when all the strategy happened, he basically fell back. But he gets a 6th-place finish. Saw a run for Joey Logano, 6th-place run. Can't be mad about that. Cristobal finished in 7th. A great top 10 run for Cristobal. He had issues on pit road today, which kind of took him out of contention early in the race. But he gets 7th-place finish. Great run for Cristobal. Tyler Reddick finished as 8th. A great run for Tyler Reddick today. The last couple weeks, Tyler Reddick has definitely been starting to shine and getting a little bit better as the year goes on. An 8th-place run for Tyler Reddick. Great run for Tyler Reddick today. Kevin Hart finished his 9th at arguably one of his worst tracks as well. Gets a 9th-place finish. He really was on the verge of going a lap down as well in this race, but he battled back and worked on the car. The car got a little bit better, and he gets a 9th-place finish. Great run for solid run for Kevin Harvick today. Really only driver so far to get top 10s for Stewart-Haas Racing so far, but a 9th-place run, solid run for Kevin Harvick today. And Kyle Busch finished his 10th today. Despite all the damage that he gets a 10th-place finish. Great run for Kyle Busch today. Ryan Blaney, after having to battle back from that penalty of taking equipment outside the pit box and basically taking equipment onto the racetrack, he finished his 11th. Again, not a bad bounce back, but unfortunately, after dominating, he unfortunately loses today's race, but he finished his 11th. Again, decent bounce back, but wish could have been a really good run for him. Matt DiBenedetto finished his 12th. DiBenedetto bounced back as well today, and honestly, a decent run overall for Matt DiBenedetto. Finishes in the top 15. Again, this team definitely needs to start working on getting some top 10s and start being more consistent, have a chance to make the playoffs. But a 12th-place run, they can definitely build on that going to Richmond, which are actually pretty decent in Richmond, so they can work on that for sure. Chris Buescher finished the 13th. It's a great run for Chris Buescher today. Austin Dillon, who actually had went a lap down for basically pitting outside the pit box, he was really strong early in the race. He was coming to the front, almost in the top 5, and I thought he was going to be contending with Hamlin and Blaney most of the day, but unfortunately, after pitting outside the box, that really took him out of contention, but he bounced back to 14th, solid comeback. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with the top 15 run. Again, it continues with the top 15 runs he's had this year. Great run for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Bubba Wallace finishes 16th. I'm going to be honest with you. It was an up and down day for Bubba. Bubba at the beginning of this race absolutely looked really, really, really bad. But they kept working on the car. And, like I said, they were 2 laps down a lot of this race. And I thought that they were going to be really, really disappointing. But here's something that really ended up happening. Once the pit strategy happened, they were able to get back in the lead lap. The pit strategy happens. They were able to lead about 23 laps, which is very interesting. Is Bubba Wallace and 2311 have now led more laps than Stewart-Haas Racing in 2021, which I find super interesting. Bubba Wallace finished 16th, though. I expect a little more performance from him, but he gets 16th place right after the contact. That's all right. 16th is not bad overall. Ross Chastain finishes 17th today. 18th place for Cole Custer. 19th for Ryan Newman, who was in the top 10 quite a bit today. He finishes 19th. And Eric Almirola finishes 20th today. He was actually looking for potentially a top 10, but he finishes 20th in today's race at Martinsville. 21st for Kurt Busch, who looked like he may have had a chance for a top 10. He finished 21st. James Davison finishes 22nd. Solid run for James Davison even after his issues. He finishes 22nd. Nice bounce back for him. Josh Bleeky finished 23rd. Quinnoff finished 24th. 25th for J.J. Gilly. 26th for Anthony Alfredo. Chase Briscoe finished 27th. He bounced back. It looked like he was going to bounce back and potentially finish in the top 10 in this race, but he finished 27th. Not a great run for Chase Briscoe. Definitely needs some luck turnaround for that rookie, but things are going to probably hopefully get better for him here sooner or later. If he has speed like he did and doesn't have issues in the end of the race, I think he could be a contender here in the foreseeable future. Cody Ware finished 28th after basically causing 3 incidents. He finishes in the top 30. Again, what can he do? He caused a lot of incidents today, though, that's for sure. Bijan McLeod finishes 29th. 30th for Eric Jones after his issue getting involved in the big one. Michael McDowell, who also was involved in the big one, gets his first DNF of 2021 and his worst finish of the year. Daniel Suarez finished 32nd. Brad Keselowski finished 33rd. 34th for Alex Bowman. Again, he had a bad day overall at the end of the race. Justin Haley finishes 35th. 36th for Ryan Preece. And finishing last in 37th place would be Corey LaJoie. What's really interesting is, basically the whole field completed 2/3 of the race, and this is actually, for another interesting fact, this is the 4th most laps and 4th highest percentage of race that someone has finished who's finished last. So that was really exciting. It looked like we were maybe on potential of have the most laps completed by any racer, but a 4th best for anyone. That's really, really exciting to know. Now let's go ahead and talk about the race overall. This race was absolutely fantastic from start to finish. Yes, the beginning of it was a little bit slow from the start of it, but I would argue that this is arguably one of the best races we've seen so far this year. Great battles for the lead throughout. Great battles between guys like Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, then Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and then Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott batting for a while. And then, of course, the battle between Chase and Kyle there for a while. The battle for fourth was absolutely excellent. I thought that today's race was absolutely excellent. I am going today to give today's race at Martinsville International Speedway a 9.5 out of 10. I'm almost going to give this race a perfect score, to be honest with you. I thought that today's race was absolutely excellent. I don't think that this is the best race we've seen so far 2021. I would say that so far the Bristol Dirt race we saw last week, or 2 weeks ago I should say, was the best race we've seen so far. But this race, in my opinion, is a close second of what we've seen so far. I absolutely enjoyed today's race. Lots of comers and goers, lots of beating and banging, and great solid short track racing overall. Next week, we're headed to Richmond International Speedway, another short track, a .75 track. Will we see another first time winner? We get our 8th winner in 9 races, or will we see someone who's won this year get their 2nd win of the year, or maybe even their 3rd win of the year at Truex Jr., who's won 2 of the last 3 races at Richmond? Will we see that happen? Who knows? We'll find out next week at Richmond International Speedway. So, anyway, that is going to be for today's race review from Martinsville International Speedway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications so you get notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support my page as well. Links are below for that. And comment your thoughts on today's race. What are your thoughts about Truex Jr. winning today's race at Martinsville? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know below your scores of today's race at Martinsville. Let me know in the comments below. Like I said, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you like, so you can recommend more of these great videos out to you guys. Do that, I would greatly and truly appreciate it. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.